Have you ever noticed how silence can sometimes feel louder than words? That moment when you stop texting or calling someone, and suddenly, they seem to notice your absence? Does that silence make them miss you, or does it push them away? Surprisingly, silence, when used the right way, can do more for your relationships than you might think. In fact, it might just be the secret to strengthening your emotional connection. In a world where everyone is always talking and messaging, silence can seem awkward or uncomfortable. But what if I told you that embracing moments of quiet could be the key to making your relationships deeper and more meaningful? Stick with me, and I'll show you how silence isn't just the absence of words. It's a powerful tool that, when used correctly, can help you attract and maintain the kind of emotional connection you really want. Silence is a powerful tool. Midnight to 2:45. Here's a shocking fact. Silence is not just the absence of words, it's a statement. It reflects what's inside you, what's already there. It forces both you and the other person to face real emotions. Silence often holds the answers that words fumble to articulate. It's like a mirror. It shows what's beneath the surface, allowing feelings to emerge naturally. In today's world, where people are constantly texting, chatting, and sharing their lives, silence can feel strange. We're conditioned to believe that talking all the time equals connection. But in reality, when we talk too much, the emotional weight of our words fades. Silence, however, carries more power than you might think. When you step back from constant communication, it gives both you and the other person space to breathe, reflect, and evaluate what's truly important. Emotional control through silence. 2:45 to 5:34. Think about the last time you felt the urge to send a message to someone, maybe just to check in or get their attention. It's natural to want constant communication, but here's the thing. Constant texting, calling, or reaching out can make your presence feel too available. It can make you seem predictable, like background noise. But when you embrace silence, even just a little bit, it can spark something much deeper. It creates a space where the other person can miss you, wonder about you, and appreciate your absence. This doesn't mean disappearing completely or playing games. It's about stepping back just enough to make your presence felt when you do reach out. In fact, silence is a way of showing emotional strength. Instead of constantly seeking reassurance or attention from others, you're showing that you can be content without their validation. This is where the ancient wisdom of Stoicism comes in. The Stoics taught us that true emotional power comes from controlling our impulses, not giving in to them. When you resist the urge to constantly reach out, you show that your worth is not dependent on anyone else's attention. That's when the other person starts to see you as someone who's truly secure in themselves. The mystery of silence. 5:34 to 9:13. Have you ever noticed how a little mystery can make someone more intrigued by you? It's like reading a book that doesn't give away everything all at once. There's suspense, there's curiosity, and you just want to know what happens next. That's the power of silence in relationships. When you're constantly sharing everything, every detail of your day, there's nothing left to wonder about. But when you step back and create a little bit of space, suddenly, the silence becomes intriguing. Why haven't they texted me? What are they doing? This is where your absence starts to speak louder than your presence. This isn't about playing games or being emotionally distant. It's about creating a rhythm, a natural flow, where both you and the other person can take the time to miss each other. Silence, when used strategically, can actually make a relationship feel more exciting. It invites curiosity, it creates longing, and it adds a layer of emotional depth that constant communication can't provide. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. 9:13 to 14:43. Here's another surprising truth. Your constant presence might actually be hurting your connection. When you're always available, always responding to messages, it can make your relationship feel a little too comfortable, predictable, even. But when you introduce silence, just enough to make the other person notice, your absence can actually make them miss you. This isn't about pulling away in a cold or distant way. It's about giving both you and the other person the space to appreciate each other more. Think about it like this. If you're always there, always around, your presence becomes something expected. But when you step back, just enough for the other person to realize you're not always at their beck and call, That's when they start to appreciate your time together. Imagine if you never took a step back in a relationship, if you were always texting, always calling. It would lose its spark over time, wouldn't it? But by embracing silence, you make your presence more valuable, and when you do connect, it becomes more meaningful. Silence and self-worth, 1443 to 1929. Here's the truth. You don't need to constantly reach out for validation. When you do, you're putting your emotional well-being in someone else's hands. That's not a place of power, it's a place of insecurity. Silence is your opportunity to show that you don't need constant attention to feel good about yourself. By stepping back and embracing moments of quiet, you're giving yourself the chance to focus on your own growth, your own happiness, without relying on someone else to provide that. When you learn to enjoy your own company, when you create space to reflect and grow, you become more magnetic. People can sense that confidence. They can feel your strength, your emotional independence. And that's what draws them to you. This isn't about ignoring others or being emotionally distant. It's about showing that you have your own life, your own passions, your own sense of purpose. When you embrace silence, you're saying, I don't need you to validate me. I'm already whole. The confidence of quiet, 1929, 25:05. Let's talk about the real power of silence. It's in the confidence it gives you. When you don't feel the need to constantly text or check in, it shows you're emotionally self-sufficient. You know your value, and you don't need anyone else to constantly remind you of it. That quiet confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves. Silence is not about hiding away or being distant. It's about taking the time to focus on your own personal growth, knowing that your worth is not tied to someone else's attention. When you stop chasing after validation, you stop depending on others to feel good about yourself. That's when your true confidence shines. Conclusion. So, does silence make someone miss you? Absolutely, but only if it's used with intention and purpose. It's not about disappearing or playing games. It's about creating space for emotional growth, reflection, and appreciation. When you give both yourself and the other person time to miss you, your presence becomes more valuable, more meaningful. In a world that's always talking, silence can be the most powerful tool you have. It's not about withdrawing completely, but about finding balance between connection and space, between presence and absence. When you use silence in this way, you'll notice how your relationships grow deeper, and you'll become someone who others don't just want to be around. They'll miss you when you're not there.